Uh, okay, we're live. Hi, Roy, and hi, Neil. Welcome to Venture with Grace.
Awesome. Hey.
Hey.
To start the show, I would love for the audience to get to know you guys a little bit more. So, like, obviously, I feel like you guys both have like the rebellion background of dropping out from Colombia, doing this, cheat on everything app. But why don't we start with like, what make you decided to do something like this, and like, why are you thinking so differently from your peers? Maybe we just talk about like the core lessons early on in your career that kind of like help you stumble upon this entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think walking back, me and Roy met like last semester when Roy transferred into Columbia. Before that, I think both of us kind of vaguely had this notion of doing something entrepreneurial, but we didn't think it was like a right now thing. I was like going to be a quant trader, and I think Roy had like other like Roy was going to go into CS, and we didn't think this is something we could do now. We met and we started working together in September, and we like really like work. We really liked working on like small projects together. And that was kind of the catalyst. And at some point, we kind of realized like we liked this so much, we should just do this full time. Like I think school became a lot less interesting. Everything else became a lot less interesting. Like I think starting in like November-ish, I think this was like all we were doing. Before Interview Coder, we had some other projects we were working on, but Interview Coder was like the one that really took off. And I think the reason that it took off is because it was something like fundamentally different, and that people were not willing to do. And yeah, kind of from there, it was like one thing after the other. I think as we started with that, it was like that, and then the next thing, and then clearly kind of came to be as like we realized that Interview Coder was like a really powerful user experience too, and we wanted to keep going from there.
Totally. What about, can I ask, like, how do you guys like work together, and who come with the idea first, and then who execute on it, and then we can jump into the 50 internship thing, 50 interns.
Interview Coder was really split between the two of us. We just generally we just did all the coding together, and we do all like the talking to people and like sales stuff together. At this point, we've sort of graduated mostly from the engineering work because there's so much other stuff to do. And now we're full like Neel is COO and I'm COO. I did the fundraise and I do a lot of like I don't really know. It's just
It changes a lot.
Whatever. Every day is different. Whatever work there is to do, Neel and I do it together.
Okay, I love. So I wonder, so like, how do you guys come up with the idea of like hiring 50 interns?
Right now, I think the way social media is so different. And the way marketing is done is so different. Like you don't really need an ad or a professional billboard, or you don't even need an influencer with 1 million followers who's like advertising your product. You need 50 new accounts ran by a bunch of 18 to 21-year-old like brain rotted teenagers who just know what kind of stuff goes viral. And if you it's truly a quantity over quality game. If you can hit quantity, then you will just be more viral than everybody else, and it will just be the most organic form of virality you can get out there. Interns are relatively cheap, even at the insane price we're paying them. And it's just worth it so much more than dumping millions into Meta and Google ads.
Yeah, that's kind of the equivalent, or the translation is not like, or the mental model is not like hiring 50 interns. The mental model is like, this is our marketing budget, or clearly is a product that needs to be marketed, and we need to tap into a much wider audience than just like personal brands. Now that we're at this stage, we have like the seed round of funding that we can use. Like Meta and Google ads are nowhere close to the correct answer. Like we need to tap Instagram and TikTok, and this is like the
Totally. I totally agree. Even like for my friends, like a lot of people are actually applying for your internship. So I can like just like, I mean, my Gen Z friends obviously, but like I wonder, so like how do you qualify? Like who is qualified to actually be an intern at your company? And then what kind of account do they need to acquire? Are you trying to say like them doing the marketing for you, and then you acquire that account from the marketing funnel, or like they're more of like a salesperson going to events and like actually land the clients?
we're not interested. We're interested in people with big Instagram and TikTok followings, but we're not so much interested in like the following itself. We're much more interested in like the what like the following represents. Or like if you do have a big Instagram following, that means you were able to post consistently for like a long period of time. You
Mhm.
have some level of viral sense, and like it's like a resume of sorts that you have on Instagram, like with a high following. Um,
Mhm.
Outside of that, I think we're looking for people who are able to post content regularly, like quality content regularly, and that's what we think like at scale will go viral. That's like the main thing. I think outside of that, we want to keep it like pretty flexible. But for growth, I think that's what we see as like the main engine.
Totally. Maybe we could talk about the product for a little bit so that the audience could like some people can like understand it a little bit better on like what you guys are trying to promote. So from my understanding, it's kind of like a real life perplexity in front of your face. Is this what we're doing? Okay, yeah. So I wonder, so like, but Perplexity or let's say like ChatGPT or Cloud, I feel like they're all coming out strong as like a product led thing. So why don't you guys like focus on like making a superior product versus, I mean, I'm sure your product is like not bad, but it's like more of like focus on the product differentiation versus like um like getting a bunch of interns to like manually promote something, because I feel like for AI products so far, like what we're seeing is like a lot of people just launch a product and it just like organically go viral versus like you have to hard sell.
Uh,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I mean, I would disagree with that on a couple fronts. I think even if we told 50 interns to work on the product, 50 interns don't actually help when they're all working on product. B, I think just because we're putting a lot of effort into marketing doesn't mean that we're not putting a lot of effort into product. I think like product, like focus on the product, you can do that without having to give up all marketing efforts. And I think something that we're good at and something that I think other AI companies need to be better at is like actually distributing your product. I mean, I think ChatGPT versus Claude is like a really, really good example. Like Claude 3.5 is just an objectively better coding model. People don't know this, and OpenAI has 10 times the users, not because they have a better model and it was product-led growth. It's because it's just they marketed it better. And ultimately, that leads to them having like a 10 times higher valuation, which is like $270 billion of enterprise value. And it's all strictly just a function of not product-led growth, but strictly marketing. I also think it is almost never the case that marketing a good product will organically go viral. Like that just doesn't happen. Virality is a very different game, and there's very different rules to virality. Not a single one of my Twitter followers, of my 92,000 Twitter followers, like they didn't really come from me having this great product that just organically went viral. They came from me like forcing the virality to happen. I think it's a very different game. And so A, we are focusing on product, and B, I think marketing is like super, super underrated, and virality is just a game.
totally. Okay, so I wonder, so but for like I guess like for ChatGPT, like I think recently we're seeing people changing their profile picture and do these like cartoon stuff, but like I guess like before that, like what are some lessons that you felt like you took from these like viral or like the marketing done right type of AI product?
I don't think anyone's doing it right, or there's very, very, very few people doing it right. I think in general, I think everything like interview code and everything clearly is kind of proven. Like the fact that it is so different, like kind of proves that the stuff that other people are doing is like wrong. There are like bits and pieces. I think like a big inspiration for us was like the friend.com launch video. Like friend.com did a launch video like a year-ish ago, and they spent I think 300K, or Avi Shipman spent like 300K on the launch video. And it got 24 million impressions on Twitter, and that kind of showed to us like a cinema style launch video has like this huge untapped like delta. But like a mistake that he made that we think we did better is that like the product's still not out for friend.com. Like he launched a year ago, and the product is still coming out in 6 months. Like when you have the viewers, you should launch you should launch the current version you have of the product. You launch where you can get to, and that lets you like iterate quickly and like take the users you have and get it to a good place fast.
Totally. Oh, okay. I actually do not know what friend.com is, but like now I do. But I wonder how, but I see your viral video. I really like the video that you guys made, but can you talk about like the distribution funnel? Like which platform do you see like has the biggest potential? Would it be like TikTok, or would it be like Instagram, or like you still feel like Twitter would be like the place that you want to land?
I mean, it depends. For different use cases, there's different audiences. We're building out the enterprise arm of the company right now, and we're hoping to sell to salespeople. There, LinkedIn and Twitter is like ideal for us, but we're also hoping to have a really strong consumer arm of the company. And there, obviously, it'd be Instagram and TikTok. But there's just like different social media for different ICPs, and we just have different use cases for different people as well.
How do you measure like the ROI of your marketing effort? Do you feel like let's call it like the 92K follower on Twitter actually convert into buyers, or like how do you like kind of judge your ROI from like the amazing marketing you guys are doing?
And the company's like 2 weeks old. It's really hard to have any meaningful data at all. Like last week, you can't really project like impressions and followers from last week, because last week I had like 30,000 less followers. So it's like very hard to measure anything or have any sort of meaningful insights about anything that we post right now.
I will say in terms of conversion, I think the like high level, if a video, the more detail that a video goes into the use case of Clearly, the higher converting it'll be. Like if it's a funny viral video and it says like, oh, this is how you use it on an interview, or this is how you use it on a sales call, then it converts higher. Like we are still like, that's like the next step for us now. I think like the videos that don't have that like intentionally convert less, but they like serve as like means of like gaining brand reputation and like people getting this idea planted in their minds of like there's this cheat on everything company. I think some of it's empirical, I guess, to answer your question, right? Like some like we can tell like if something is more directly Clearly focused, then it's like more likely going to convert better.
What would you say are like, I guess like since you mentioned about like getting a bunch of people posting about Cluely like in different sub segment, like I guess like how do you select the people that you're trying to hire? And then like are the 50 people all gonna come from the same sector, or like let's say you want to target like the dentistry SaaS sales, or like are you gonna target, since you mentioned like sales is like a major function, and do they like how are they currently using the product, and like do you feel like they actually function better with like a script in front of them? Or I guess I just have so many questions on like what is the 50 people are gonna do in the summer, and then how do you kind of like qualify these things into like business terms?
I guess we're trying to explore how viral each use case can go. So we'll assign them each several use cases, and we'll say, hey, try to make this go viral. Try to make this go viral. And we'll see what consistently goes the most viral, which is where we'll be finding like idea market fit, and we'll sort of double down on everything that we can make consistently go viral. Because if you can distribute it, then the technology will just work its way from the distribution.
I think on the sales front too, I don't think like experience with dentistry SaaS is like or any industry. I think the experience is not the bottleneck. I think like specifically like segmenting and trying different like use cases. I think like high level, this is a product like we know what like the high level vision would be for like any kind of application. It like sees your screen, hears what you're saying, and it gives you the information you need when you need it. It's more like where is that the most useful and how is like that the most useful in a specific case, which we get with like the trying it out in different use cases.
When you guys are raising money, so like since I feel like last week I just learned there's like seed strapping, so like after people raising seed, they just like stop raising money at all, like or like just focus on profitability. How do you think about profitability and like growth?
I mean, we're very close to profitable right now, and we have an insane burn rate. We didn't raise the money to save it. We're raising the money to spend it, which is why we're doing like $1 million marketing campaigns like this. And yeah, I mean, we really don't care about like we're really not that dilution sensitive. We want to build $1 trillion company. And if you own, whether you own 1% or 5% of $1 trillion company, like it really doesn't matter. Money's not the end goal here. We're really trying to change the world. And it just doesn't matter. We'll raise money if we think there's a reason. If we want to do a $10 million marketing experiment tomorrow, then we'll raise another $10 million. I mean, we just don't care about dilution.
How do you think about, I guess like when you're, I know that you guys like went viral and then within 24 hours you are like oversubscribed. How do you think about like how much you need to actually grow your company, and how do you actually think about the business function of these like people, besides like you're hiring like 50 interns that are influencer, and how many like how much do you plan on spend on each intern? It's not just like 2 month $50 for everybody, like on everything. And then how many things that they have to produce within that like 1 hour period to
It's not 1 hour. They're in the office 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. This is a full-time position. They're in here, and like we don't exactly know what sort of output we expect from them, but we'll iterate over time. And I guess like for the summer, it'd be like $24,000 per intern over the summer. So in total, it'd be a little over $1 million that we're spending on just intern salaries.
Got it. So only interns, and then there's like no like, and then are you planning on firing everybody after 2 months, or like I guess like internship is like coming with an end in 2 months, or how do you think about functioning this?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone was like really good and they wanted to stay, and they're like willing to leave school if they're like not done with school, like we'd probably extend return offers. But like in the short term, I think we're more concerned with getting like content out there, and this is like kind of what we need to do that.
What are, I guess, like, what does your investor say? Or are they just like they don't care? And then how much, like, I guess, like, how much do you like, how much is your company current value at?
We raised at a $30 million valuation. Our investors invested in us because they thought we were doing different things and they thought that we had some idea of how to go viral. So they really pretty hands off with the whole marketing stuff. Yeah, company right now is valued at 30 mil.
When, so I'm sorry, but like, so like basically, I guess like another quick question is like, I guess like, how do you guys think about like, how do you go viral for the first time? I know that you created this tool, but like, it's a whole distribution, just like you post about this thing on YouTube of like you know, cheat on Amazon interview, or like, do you have like a plan on going viral, or was it just something that you randomly stumble upon and then it's just like viral?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's like a general playbook for us on how to organically make things go viral that we're iterating over time. I'm probably actually in a few days going to make like a long form thread about what exactly I've learned doing it. But I think the first spark does sort of come accidentally. We didn't know that Interview Coder was going to go viral when we posted it, but we kept on posting things and eventually one of them became viral. And we just kind of snowballed that over and over and over again until we are where we're at right now. The first spark of virality is always the most difficult, and it's going to be almost random. I'd say you should try to do things that you suspect will go viral, and eventually one of them will go viral. And once you have the spark, don't let it die. Keep rolling it into more and more things.
But I thought you guys are so bold. It's just because I feel like it's kind of like an irreversible thing. So I know that you mentioned about like you don't want to go back to big tech anymore, but I feel like the fear is like you never really know if they're gonna becoming your client or something. You have to go so viral to like you know, pass by the hurdle to be like just go all in on like a persona on the internet. But like I feel like if you stuck in the middle, like if you really like, I mean, I feel like it just like takes a lot of like mental energy to like commit to yourself on like like you mentioned about like not letting a spark die, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was a pretty risky move on our end, but I mean, I guess that's what it takes.
How like did you guys like, I guess like when you first went viral, what are the stuff that you were posting then this thing caught on fire? Or like how do you like spot the spark? Like what does a spark mean? It's not like just like this one tweet is like better performing than like the rest of the tweet about like 10 times, or like what are some like small signs of like something that's about to go viral?
Very first time we posted, we posted a lot of our early ideas and stuff. We were posting a lot of this. The very first time we posted an Interview Coder, it did like a couple 100,000 impressions on LinkedIn, which really wasn't good, but it was all we needed. It was just a spark. Like I reckon anybody can post a LinkedIn demo that will get a few 100,000 impressions. And it was just a spark, and it's what made us realize this had viral potential. And we just kept doubling down. And every single day we would think about like what's some more Interview Coder content we can post. And then we just kept on posting content. And since then, I probably made like over 1,000 tweets and posts about Interview Coder and Cluely. Like that is what we mean by like keep the spark going. But like that first spark of a few 100,000 impressions, like that's all it was. Like that was the origin.
What would you say, what would you suggest like the older people to do? Let's say they're a director at Google, like how would they go viral about something? And then what if like the life have consequences? Let's say they still want to make a certain level of money, and like how would you suggest like people that with something to lose to like use this strategy?
I think, well, first as a baseline, I feel like just for posting anything, like most people don't post anything. Like I feel like that's like the first baseline. Just like posting any sort of content gives you a better chance of going. Like if you're posting nothing, like posting anything on the internet gives you a better chance of going viral than nothing. So I feel like as a start for like the vast majority of people is just to start posting something. Like start posting anything, whatever you're comfortable with. I like start with that, and then after that, I think I feel like just starting is kind of the spark you need to keep going to some extent. Like if when you're starting from zero, it's hard to say, oh, like I have this huge risk. But if you post for a while and then you have like 10,000 followers and you're like, oh wow, like this is already going well, and now this is it's like a better EV play to keep pursuing this thing versus my job at Google. I feel like a good thing is just to start doing something and then go from there. instead of being like super hypothetical about like if I get to this point, like what is the risk I'm going to take here.
Do you feel like it's a numbers game or do you feel like it's a quality game? Like you rather post like one piece of content that day that's like amazing or like amazing in your own mind or like do you feel like it's more of like oh let's just like post like seven things something will stick.
They shouldn't be shitty things, I think too, but I think like posting, I think it's like there's a trade-off. I think like there should be like some degree of quality. Like if it's like not quality content at all, then no matter how much you post, it won't go viral. But I think like most people can manage to post like twice a day like quality content. If it's more of a time allocation thing, I think. Like I think generally standard advice is like it is not a good use of time. Like posting is not a good use of time. You should be like working. But I think like that's like the main mental model. I think the first thing is like it is a good use of time to be posting what you're doing because it's all that matters. Like that's how you can get customers. That's like from the ground up. But yeah, there is some level of quality, but I think like the solution to that is just to like allocate more time towards posting and making content.
I also feel like if you're posting like the shock value content, do you feel like that can actually convert into customers? Just because sometimes like I felt like there if I'm living a different life, I would be posting shit posting all day every day. But like the problem is like I feel like it's less likely to be treated like seriously because I've seen like there's like in the tech community there's a lot of comedians that are posting very viral stuff but I feel like if they're actually selling me a piece of software, like, sure, I like them. Like, I could buy because of likeness for once, but like, I probably wouldn't really like stay as a customer because in the end of the day, that thing itself have to really solve my actual real life problem. And I feel like I'm more of a problem buy or like problem solving buyer than like do I like someone or like do I like the vibe and how do you balance out the fact that like people may think this is like such a great for example like for me like I feel like this is such a it has some shock value but it's also like something new that like you want to try for the first time like to make people subscribe to it like every month I feel like it's like a different vibe so how do you think about like having a sustainable content strategy that's like both making sure people like treating you seriously, also like kind of like you're constantly keeping people engaged and entertained so that they also stay.
I don't really know exactly what you're asking, but if you're saying like how can shock marketing be sustainable? I mean, that's why we're hiring 50 interns. Is we're gonna have 50 opinions on what exactly will be a sustainable viral content engine. I also think there's literally not one startup that consistently goes viral as much as us. Like probably in the history of technology, there has never been a startup that could consistently and organically go as viral as Cluey and Interview Code already have. I mean, this is just an untested battlefield of shock marketing and complete founder-led growth. Like nobody's tried this, so I think it's way too early to say whether this is sustainable or not. I also think that there's like it's not mutually exclusive to have a good product and to shock market. I mean, Interview Coder is pretty retentive, and it's retentive because it works. Like it's a good product, and the shock marketing is just a good top of funnel to the actual website. I mean, like just because we're doing a lot of shock marketing doesn't mean we can't have a product that is sticky, and just because we do shock marketing does not mean that people are going to turn off a good product.
Uh I wonder so how do you oh by the way I want to say hi to the audience who comments hi Crispin hi Vanish Magnish okay so I wonder okay so maybe I want to switch gear a little bit on like what's your thought on the future of work so like since you guys are hiring 50 interns do you think like Google should do this too or like OpenAI or like what are like how do you envision the future like people should be using AI into like their work.
I think the intern experience is more of a like there are different things that big companies can do, and they're limited by like having to maintain credibility and stuff. But I think just like the way that they spend marketing dollars is not like the correct way to spend marketing dollars. Like this launch video, like the amount of like impressions to cost versus like a Super Bowl ad or
Wait,
like
how much does this ad cost? And then who made this? Like,
our launch video was $140,000. We it was through a production studio, but it was like fully led and directed by this 17-year-old high schooler.
oh, wait, how do you guys find the high schooler?
Just a friend of a friend.
Yeah, he made it. Or we I think when the context for it was, I think when Interview Coder was blowing up, I think we had like this hype and wanted to do something with like the audience slash hype. And from friend.com or seeing this other big launch video, that was like kind of the natural thing. We make this crazy demo and then build the product to match the demo. And from there we called the 17-year-old and then he made the video happen. And then it was like shot in like we went to LA. There was like a production studio and they rented out like a restaurant and converted it into a set. There was like 50 guys with like lights and like sound gear. So it was like a pretty proper production, but I think it was very, very worth it. We saw, and I think like the cinema level quality makes people like stop and look. And I think that's why I got so many impressions.
I wonder, okay, so like, yeah, like going back to the AI thing. So like, do you feel like okay, sorry, you were like about to say something about like the interns. And do you suggest like, how do you suggest big company to like replicate this level of innovation or
Oh, yeah.
like test?
Innovation sense, I think there's just better ways to do like high level. I think the right way to do marketing is through like Instagram and TikTok, or those are like that's where you can get audiences. Like it does not make sense to pay like millions of dollars in like paid advertisings that like the cost per click is like insanely high, when like an Instagram account with like 500 followers can get hundreds of millions of impressions if it's done executed correctly. I think like high level the strategy is for them to like leverage like organic growth on Instagram and TikTok, and a lot of startups are doing this in some capacity. There's like another company, TurboLearn, that is making videos. Like they have like 15 accounts. Like TurboLearn is like a company making software for students, and they have like 15 accounts or 20 accounts or something of like influencer or like 20 accounts of like UGC, and it's people like making funny videos that tie back into the product. I think like those can be executed to some degree at scale, but like I think the big lesson from the intern experiment is like spend the marketing dollars in the right spot, like Instagram and TikTok, or how you can get views, or like the leverage you have there is so much higher. So figure out how to leverage that.
Mm. What's your thought on like actually building a successful company and like how do you imagine like AI being a part of that? Like which part, since you guys are saying sales is like the part that you want to solve, but like I guess like how do you think adults slash like the regular people today working in tech should be using AI?
We're not. I guess like sales is also one use case. We're like there's a lot of use cases I think we're exploring. I think, well, like just more broadly speaking, I think like the mission with this company, I think like the mission we strongly believe in is like AI maximalism. Like we think everywhere AI can be used and will be helpful, it should be used. And I think there's like in most places AI can be used and will be helpful. Like I think people are very averse to the idea of outsourcing your thoughts and decisions to AI. But I think there's many instances of like people just don't really like to make decisions, and I think it's like a good thing not to make decisions. Like you see this with like TikTok, or like it's so normal. I had this friend in high school that would spend like I think her average screen time on TikTok was like 13 hours a day. And it's like not that crazy. Or like there's people that spend so much time on TikTok. And like 5 years ago, if you went up to somebody and said, like, we're gonna make YouTube, but you're not gonna be able to pick the video that you can click on. We're gonna pick the video for you. That's like a Black Mirror dystopian future. And now it's normal. And so I think the direction is going is like people like offshoring cognitive load that they don't want to do towards AI. And I think now that looks like cheating, but down the road that looks like more and more things. And I think when you like sorry, I lost my train of thought, but that's like the mission. I think like to answer the question about like where AI should be used, we think AI should be used by like everywhere you can use it, you should use it. Like I think the idea of like not being personal, or like you should be personalized and like thinking about like what you want to say and how you prompt AI. But like for every single email, they should use AI. For every single like piece of work you do, you should use AI. It should be like an extension of yourself, not like this external like this thing that's wrong to use.
What are something that you feel like why don't you guys use AI to make these like videos, or like, you know, instead of like using 50 real human interns, like why don't you guys like just use, I don't know, AI?
Because AI doesn't have viral sense. It's just AI is just not funny. This is the last frontier. Like humans have taste. It's what makes us humans, and AI doesn't have taste. It's what will separate humans from AI, and it's why even with all the new AI models getting released, like AI will never beat out humans in taste and viral sense. An 18-year-old is always going to be funnier than GPT-10.
How do you, I guess like when you are making these like, I guess like when you're selecting the interns, I'm sure like right now you guys have a lot of applications. What does the selection process look like?
It's very easy. You can tell within like half a second of looking at someone's resume whether they're legit or not, or whether they're like not valuable. You can just see, like, if you see a cold email from someone, you can see like this guy didn't put in enough effort. It's very, very easy. I think probably 0.1 in 1,000 people, like genuinely 1 in 1,000 people, have like an actual application that's worth even looking at.
Yeah, and I think and after the application, when you talk to somebody, I think it's just like with any question. I think like if somebody gives a response and that same answer that they give could be said like I'm a hard worker or I'm XYZ, and the same response could be said by any other applicant. That's like a super easy kind. And like most people do say stuff that just could be said by anyone and like means nothing because everyone says they're like a hard worker. And of course, if somebody's a hard worker, we'd want them. But like I think the issue is I guess like generally it's not that difficult. It's like a quick pass and then like a vibe check from the interview. But I think just like a lot of applicants are just not that great. I think is like high level.
But do you think you actually kind of hire 50 people? Like, so, or like, do you feel like it's going to be, if you're keeping the bar super high, like it's like kind of like impossible? And then I also feel like hiring is like such a difficult thing. Like, you can't really tell. I mean, you can tell the vibe track, like after the vibes, like even for, like, I feel like for selecting like volunteers or something, I feel like you can like maybe they have like a really good vibe, you can vibe with them, but like they actually don't do much work, or maybe they just don't have the best vibe, but like they came in and they like do 85% of the stuff. So like how do you actually vibe out like the people that are actually qualified?
This will be the last question, because we do have to go. But yeah, I mean, we just asked them like a few things, and if you just tell someone like, "Hey, can you tell me your life story?" Just listen to what they have to say. Like it's usually very easy to tell. And also like this is our first time actually hiring, so everything we're doing, like we're learning as we go. What makes someone hireable and what makes someone not hireable. So I mean, like this is just all of this is just a giant experiment on our end, and we're testing like a bunch of different things. But generally, I think it's pretty easy to tell who's going to be a hard worker and who's not going to be, just off the conversation.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for like coming, and it was such an interesting conversation.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks for the questions. Yeah. Bye.